àgbẹ̀ tá a máa mú wá sí ti gbọ̀yìn lọ́sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ lórí ètò àgbẹ̀ bá ti lè dáko tó fi máa dá, bá ti lè ṣe bó ṣe ká ṣe ṣe, ká dẹ̀ fi lè rí èrè tó yẹ ká rí lórí ẹ̀. Láti ọ̀dọ̀ Sulukad Multiventures Limited láti wá, gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ti mọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn tó ti ń bá wa lọ láti jọ ẹ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ àgbẹ̀ tá a máa mú wá sí ti gbọ̀yìn lọ́sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ ni nípa ìrírí, nípa ìṣe lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àgbẹ̀, lórí nǹkan tẹ́ ti ń ṣe tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀, bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe lè ṣe tẹ́ fi rí lórí ẹ̀ ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ. Ọ̀pọ̀ ọgbà ni àwọn àgbẹ̀ máa ń kérora pé nǹkan tí wọ́n ṣe lóko, wọ́n ṣe bá, wọ́n ṣàwo, kò fún wọn lérè tó bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́. Kódà pàápàá jùlọ àwọn àgbẹ̀ míì ní pé àwọn ò rí tà lówó gidi. Ní Sulukad Multiventures Limited la ṣe gbétò ìkalẹ̀ pé báwo la ṣe lè máa ṣe àlàyé fún àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa pẹ̀lú ìmọ̀ díẹ̀ táwa náà ní lórí ọ̀rọ̀ àgbẹ̀. Kò ń ṣe pé àkọ́ ń ta nǹkan àgbẹ̀ lásán, à ń fún àwọn èèyàn ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ náà bí wọ́n ti lè lo nǹkan tí wọ́n rà lọ́dọ̀ wa, bí wọ́n rẹ̀ ti lè ṣe é kan wà lè rí èrè tó dá lórí ẹ̀. Lénìí la ti wá sétí gbọ̀yìn láti fi tó yín létí kí ni àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè ṣe tó fi yàtọ̀ sí ìtẹ́ ìṣe tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ láti rí èrè gidi lórí ẹ̀ ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ. Ṣẹ̀rí lé ètò wa lérí ètè ní pàápàá jùlọ àwọn ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ti kọjá sẹ́yìn, a ti sọ̀rọ̀ pa lórí àwọn nǹkan ọ̀gbìn oríṣiríṣi tá a dẹ̀ ti ṣàlàyé fún àwọn èèyàn wa bí wọ́n ti lè ṣe, bó dẹ̀ ti lè rí bó ṣe yẹ kó rí. Ṣùgbọ́n lénìí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ló ti kàn sí wa, àwọn míì ti pè nǹkan bábà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lóko wa, nǹkan bábà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ wa, a dẹ̀ ti fún wọn ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lórí bí wọ́n ti lè ṣe, kódà a lọ sóko àwọn ẹni míì gan láti lọ yẹ̀ wò. So gbogbo àwọn kíníyàn la fẹ́ mú wá sí ti gbọ̀yìn lénìí kẹ́yìn náà bá lè jàǹfààní ẹ̀, torí pé kí ni àìbá mọ̀ bí àkọ́ tó ń ṣe oko ẹni tá a lọ ó lè máa ṣẹlẹ̀ lóko tiyín náà, kẹ́yìn náà bá lè jàǹfààní ètò ìràpadà tá a ṣe fún Ọlọ́run. So kò jẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́. Orúkọ tèmi ni Mark Olúwafẹ́mi, atọ́kùn ètò yìí. Once again, my name is Mark Olúwafẹ́mi. I'm welcoming you to today's episode of the Sulukad Multiventures Limited Agricultural Show, where we bring to your notice information and day-to-day activities of what agriculture looks like per day and what you can do differently to get a better result. Like we all know, agriculture is not something new. It's something every one of us know. We have been cultivating, we've been planting, we've been rearing, we've been doing all sorts. But there are ways by which you can go about it to do it differently from what you've been doing before, so that you can get that better result. Nothing is new about agriculture, but it's how to harness the information you have together to get that result. That's the most important thing. Most farmers, most things we talk about on these shows, most farmers knows about them, but they cannot put those informations together for them to get a result. So today what we'll be talking about is frequently asked questions by farmers. Over the week, we've gotten some reports from different farmers about different challenges developed on their farms. We provided solutions to some farm problems, and we visited some farms even to at least help them rectify some problems. And I will start with today. Some farmers are doing tomatoes. Some farmers are complaining that their tomatoes is not sprouting. I'll put it this way. There's a farm that called in, that was last week, and they said they did nursery for tomato, but the tomato, it has been in nursery for about 2-3 weeks now, but tomatoes are not sprouting. Now, please take note of this thing. We talked about nursery, raising of nursery before now. Now, the farmer uses cocoa peats, and he used cocoa peat in the nursery tray, he placed the seed inside, and the seed is not growing. See, we want you to understand, cocoa peat is just a planting medium that has no nutrients. So if you are using cocoa peat for your nursery, like we said in the episode where we talk about raising nursery, you need to put nutrients inside the cocoa peat. When you dissolve cocoa peat inside water, you need to add nutrients to it. So when you add nutrients to it, it will make the seed to grow. But if you did not add nutrients to it, the seed will not grow. Cocoa peat is just a medium, it has no nutrients. And if you look at cocoa peat, it looks, when you soak it in water, when you touch it, it's like fiber. It doesn't have any water holding capacity. As such, you need to water your nursery in the morning and in the evening. So ways by which you can add nutrients is either you get poultry manure, dry poultry manure, you sieve it, ensure there's no wood shaving inside, then you mix it up with your cocoa peat before you fill up the trees. Or you add soluble fertilizers to your cocoa pit, like Agrovat. You add them to the cocoa pit before you fill up the tray, before you now introduce the seed into it. Please take note of this thing. If you use only cocoa pits, you might not have good germination rate. That's one thing I want you to know. So if you have done that and you not introduce any nutrient into it, you will not have good germination rate. Then you might be losing your seed at the same time. So look at the things you are losing. You're losing your seed, you're losing the cocoa pit, and the time. So please take note. These things are precious. You've bought the cocoa pit, you bought the nursery tray, you bought the seed, and even your time for doing the nursery. So if you do not do what you need to do properly, you might not get that result. And that's the challenge some farmers are facing. So please, I want to take note of it. If you are raising your nursery using nursery tray and you're using cocoa pits, you need to add nutrient to it. Now, if you are using potted soil is still better because it has nutrient in it. Though potted soil is quite expensive than cocoa pit, but if you know how to go about your cocoa pit very well, they will give you the same result. So please take note of this one. So this is what we wanted to know. You water it in the morning, water it in the evening. Then after 2 weeks of sowing your seed into the nursery tray, it's advisable you add foliar fertilizer to the water you use in watering, or you use in irrigating your nursery. It will also enhance and boost the growth of your nursery, be it tomato, be it pepper, and be it whatever you have in the nursery tray. So please take note of this. This is what we want you to understand. Then secondly, to farmers, some farmers are saying, at the onset of the initial rain, a lot of farmers went ahead to plant seeds in terms of maize. So when they planted the maize, some farmers are complaining that when they planted the maize, they sprayed the farm using glyphosate. At the end of the day, they now realize the fact that the grasses are now growing. There's a farmer called in and said he actually sprayed the farm and grasses came up on the field. So, but what we want to understand is this: if you are doing your pre-emergence herbicide, please take note of the weather condition per time. If the weather condition at that time you are applying your pre-emergence herbicide, you need to be sure. If there is no rain and the ground is not moist and you are using glyphosate, it might not be very effective. Take note. So if the ground is not moist and you are using glyphosate, it might not be effective because glyphosate will work with moisture. So in that case, you rather use contact herbicide other than using glyphosate. Please take note. You rather use contact herbicide other than using glyphosate. There are some farms that they called in some time ago. They said they planted cassava and the cassava is growing. It's above new level now, and there's weed inside the cassava. So we realized the fact that when they did their pre-emergence herbicide, the pre-emergence herbicide was not effectively done due to the fact that the pacing was too much. Please take note. The people that did the spraying for them, they were pacing so fast because they want to finish the work on time. Thereby, they were moving at a very fast rate, so they were missing some spots. So at the end of the day, some spots actually went well. The other ones, they were still existing grasses, which makes the farm to look as if the herbicide is not effective. Please take note. And that's why most of the time you buy some chemical, if it's not properly sprayed or not properly applied, you will think they are not effective. They are. But how did you apply it is what you should take note. When we go to the field, we check them and we ask them questions, how they apply it. And fortunately, we were able to move around the farm and we look at the pace at which the person that was spraying moved. When we walk through that pace, we now realize the person omitted a lot of places. And those are the places that they have weeds in the farm now. Please take note. That's what we want you to understand. Now, on the other hand, another farmer has called in and they said they have cassava on their farm, but weeds are now competing with cassava, and the weeds are almost covering the cassava. That what can they do? Do they have to do manual weeding or use chemical? Now, in that aspect, you have to use the spray guard. Now, the spray guard will actually help you in spraying such farms. Then, your choice of chemical is very important as well too. If you have a cassava farm and the grasses are not yet overtaking the cassava, like overshadowing the cassava, you can use herbicide using spray guard to spray within the farm, and it will control the weed. Please take note. You need to use spray guard to spray the farm to control the weed. But now, in the case where you have the weeds are covering the cassava, they are overshadowing the cassava, please take note. What you need to do is, number one, you need to use spray guard. Number two, when you want to spray that farm, you can use atrazine. Take note. When you add atrazine to your nozzle sprayer, use the spray guard. Use to spray it. Even when the atrazine touches the cassava, some cassava leaves might be affected, but the cassava would not die off. Take note. So when the cassava does not die, the cassava will always sprout back, but the grasses will go off. But in the case where you have the cassava, cassava are covering the weed, like cassava are well grown, and we have grasses all over beneath the cassava, you can actually use your contact herbicide spray guard. You can spray within the farm very well, and to control the weed. But if you do a proper pre-emergence herbicide application for the first 6 to 8 weeks, you will not have grasses in the field at all, and that period is enough for your cassava to have formed a good canopy to shield the farm. Please take note. So in the cases where your supply are growing maize precisely, by the time you finish planting your maize as well too, it's advised do a proper pre-emergence herbicide. If that is done, you might not have to do any manual weeding within your farm till you harvest the maize. Except or on exceptional cases, you can only use a contact herbicide to spray within the farm to control the weed, which till you harvest, you may not have to stretch yourself over the weed. So please take note. Though there are selective herbicides that you can use to spray within your maize farm and your cassava farm. For instance, to those that have a maize farm and you have weeds all over the place, we have selective herbicides that you can actually use. So please take note. There are selective herbicides you can use to spray to keep all the broad leaves, but to not kill your maize. If you have cassava farms, so when you have grasses in the field, there are selective herbicides that you can actually use to spray the farm that to not kill your cassava, but take care of all the grasses inside the field. If the grasses are grasses, not broad leaves, please take note. So this is some of the things we want to bring to your business. Then secondly, we have some farmers that they came to complain. Yes, they're having the tomato farmers. Some are complaining that the leaves are folding. That is called leaf curl in tomato. It happens to tomato. It happens to pepper. Now, please take note. Leaf curl is a form of a problem that tomatoes and pepper used to have. Please take note. But most of the time, leaf curl could be caused by water. If your plant is not getting enough water supply, you'll be having leaf curl, because the plant is trying to lose moisture to the environment, thereby shrinking the leaves. Number two, if there is no nutrients, enough nutrients available for your plant, the leaf will fold. Then number three, the leaf curl itself is caused most of the time. Thrift used to cause it. By the time thrift or aphid start perching on your farm, they tend to build their colony, forming shade for themselves. They use their webs to cover the leaf. And some other diseases that can actually cause it too. So please take note, when you're experiencing leaf curl on your farm, first of all, check, is your plant getting adequate water? Number two, does your plant have enough nutrients available? If all those are checked, then your fungicide is not effectively applied. Take note. So when you are experiencing leaf curl on your farm, it's advisable you use your fungicide effectively. Please take note of this thing. These are some of the challenges some farmers are having, and farmers are complaining. Please, we want to take note of that. So please, some farmers are also complaining. Some farmers also came, they complained about the fact that they're having some pests attacking their fields. Like we said in one of the episodes, we talk about this period, we're going to have enough of grasshoppers all over the fields. So it's advisable you spray your pesticide regularly. In the case where your farm is located maybe in the heart of the forest, or the heart of the where you have bush all over the place, and you're having this attack often, it's advisable you spray your pesticide twice in a week, perhaps every 4 days interval. Please take note. 4 days interval will keep all these pests away from your farm and also kill the existing one, and also kill all their eggs that they've laid around the field. By the time you spray like this effectively for the next 2 to 3 weeks, it will reduce the invasion. Then they might actually go far away totally, or have little or none of them coming around your field again. Please take note of this one. These are some of the challenges farmers are having. Then lastly, I want to talk about some other questions that farmers are having. A lot of vegetable farmers are complaining about them not having enough good yield, especially for cucumber farmers. I want to tell you, This period, if you are growing cucumber and there is not enough water available for your cucumber, it will affect your plant. Your yield will drop by 70%. Please take note. A lot of farmers are having that challenge as I speak to you now. If water is not enough on your cucumber farm this period, most persons believe rain has started, but in some areas there is no rain. The rain that fell initially was just an introduction to rain, but the rain has not started at all. So please take note, if you are doing cucumber for instance, and you don't have a very good source of water at the moment, you would not have good yield in your cucumber farm. Your cucumber farm will drop yield by 70% if care is not taken. There are some farms that, there was a particular farm that we visited. They planted about 3 acres of cucumber, and as I speak to you now, the farm is off. They've never harvested a bag from the farm. There was not enough water. Though they have water in the field, but water was not enough because they weren't checking. They were not observant, and the plants were dying. And as I speak to you now, the plants are off totally. So they are redressing the field again now for a new planting season. So please take note. These are some of the things we want you to understand. They are not new. They are things you know. But how to put this information together is the most important thing. So please, I want you to take note of all this information. You need to have your water readily available. If you don't have a good water source, you need to wait for the rain to start. Take note, we have different soil types. If I have sandy loams in my area and you have loamy, maybe you have sandy clay in your area, there are 2 different types. So you cannot work with my own plan. Please take note. If I'm having sandy loam and I'm using, for instance, I'm using 30,000 liters of water for my vegetable farm per day, in your own area you cannot use that because that would not be sufficient for you. So these are some of the conditions we need to take note of. People are not taking note of these things and they feel I'm doing this here is not good, maybe the seed I bought is not good or the chemical I use is not good. No, it's how you use them. Seeds are viable if well handled, but if you don't handle them well, they would not be viable. So please, I want to take note of all this information, and these are some of the things that some farmers are facing. Please, I want you to be very vigilant. And this period to our vegetable farmers, I want to take advantage of this period. We are going to the rainy season, so if you are doing your vegetable farm, let your bed be well raised. Because by the time the rain starts fully, if your bed is not well raised, the water will erode the bed, and the plants will be exhumed. Thereby, you're going to lose most of your plants when the rain starts. You'll now be wondering, why are my plants dying when there's enough water? They are having problems with the roots. These are some of the challenges that some farmers might be facing this period and will still face when the rain starts. We want to tell you, this period you are going into, do not joke with your fungicide, because fungi is the next challenge to the farmers now. In dry season, we have more of pests, but in rain season, we have more of fungi now than pests. I'm not saying you don't have pest attack. Pests will also come, but we have more of fungi now than pests. So please take note of a very good routine of your pesticide so that you don't eliminate your vegetable field yourself. Because at the moment now, if you're not taking care of fungi on your farm, you will lose your vegetable farms. I repeat, if you're not taking care of fungi on your farm properly now, you will lose most of your vegetable farms because fungi will set in anytime. Because this period will be having low temperature, high humidity when the rains start fully. So I want to take note of these ones. If you are having challenges like this, if you're in a very good environment when you have rainfall already, or you are close to a water body, you might be experiencing fungal attack on your field at the moment now. Please take note. Fungal attack is rampant now. Pests are ravaging so many farms as well too, but you need to take note of this. Then secondly, want to tell people, please, if you want to do tomato and you are doing a very big tomato farms, it is advisable you do soil tests. These are some of the things most farmers do not take into cognizance. They feel like there is no need. Please take note, if you are doing tomato farm and it's going beyond 1 acre, please do soil tests for that field. We have so many soil-borne diseases in the soil that might not affect some other crop on that field, but if you put tomato in that soil, it will kill the tomato. And that's why most farmers are doing tomato, most farmers that have tomatoes on their farm, the tomato will not die at the early stage, but when it starts flowering, the traits the diseases will start exhibiting. Then the plants will start wilting. Most people talk like that it's bacterial wilt, it's fusarium wilt. No, most of them are nematodes. Most of them are nematodes that farmers are not taking cognizance of. If you ask so many tomato farmers now, they don't even know what the nematicide is. They've never heard it before, they've not used it before. But they've been having the same challenge on their farm regularly. You go to a tomato farm, maybe you have about 10,000 tomato stands. Weekly, you are losing about 100. Every week, 100 will just get dry suddenly. Most of these are some things that are causing them. We might think, yeah, it's fusarium wilt. Fusarium wilt does not come like that. If fusarium wilt come, fusarium will just go like that. It will wipe the farm. It will not be killing one by one. It will kill one here, kill one here, kill one here. So these are some of the traits of nematode in your soil. If you can take care of it from the early stage, it will be a better result for you. So please, we are urging farmers, like we always say, ask questions about that particular thing you want to do. Do not think because you've been a farmer for about 10 years, you've been a farmer for about 15 years, I know everything. No. Don't assume that. We always say, don't assume knowledge. Ask questions. Because you might think, why would I be asking this person? The person that just got into agriculture, even when you talk to that person, whatever the person tells you, since you have more experience, it's for you to filter information. Is it really realistic? You have good experience in agriculture. Hey, I want to do tomato. How do I go about this thing? I've done tomato like this before, but I have not seen this kind of thing before. What can I do? Let the person tell you some things about his own tomato farm. We learn by asking questions. And by the time I ask questions from a person, we also get something that person has done differently from what you've been doing before, which will also help you in your agricultural pursuit. Once again, I want to tell you from Soloka Multiventure Limited, there is room for share of knowledge. Now, one of the platforms to share knowledge is what we are creating here now. We are trying to pass across to you the little we think we know about agriculture. We want to add it to that one you have. By the time we add our little to the little you know, it makes it much. Then you get a better result. Then we'll get feedbacks from you as well too. Truly, we've gotten so many wonderful and fantastic feedbacks from our customers, from solutions we provided to them, and it's really working. And we'll let them understand. Keep patronizing, keep sharing that very knowledge we've shared to you. Actually, we'll give it to you for free. Share it to someone else to help that person's farm too. Because by the time you share it to the person's farm, the environment becomes a very good one. When I'm making good results, you're making good results, we'll all be happy. Then it will encourage us to do better and do greater things that we think we can actually do alone. We know that so many farmers would not want to engage the service of a consultant or do not know the value of the service of a consultant. But we want to let you understand that the service of a consultant could not be overemphasized or thrown away simply because there's an information that consultant is going to give to you based on experience. And mind you, not just a consultant, an experienced consultant. People that knows about this thing, people that has information about it, people that have done it before, not just about theoretical aspects, practical knowledge. It has a long way to go in helping your next agricultural project. So please take note before you embark on that new project, before you spend that money. That money has a lot to do. Let it count. Ask questions. Use your Google. So many of us have smartphones, but we don't know how to use them. There are a lot of information online that you can actually tap into, which will make you not to make mistakes. By the time you check one or two of information, you go harness and get the aggregate, then you can know what to do right. So once again, we want to urge you. We want to try and eliminate mistakes, errors, and waste of funds in agriculture, so that everywhere could be better for everybody. Because by the time we can all produce conveniently and we can produce well, we can scale up. And by the time we scale up, Soloka Multiventures Limited would also be happy. Because by the time you scale up, you buy more products from us, then you are happy because you're making profit as well too. So once again, I would say a very big thank you to you for staying tuned to our episode today. And we will be expecting your own feedback. We want to hear from you. What is your experience like on your farm? Maybe one or two information that we want to give to you might even solve the problem. Let me amaze you. Most of the challenges you're having in the farm are not so big that we think a little information could actually solve it. One of the farmers called in one day. They're having challenges at their maize farm, a very large extent of maize farm. The man was like, he doesn't have money to even buy anything. He doesn't have a fine. We gave him a very simple solution. If I tell you the solution, it will amaze you. The solution actually worked for the man. Till tomorrow is ever grateful. The solution might seem very small. If I tell you what the solution was, it's something that is in your neighborhood that you're always throwing away every day. And that's what the man used. He doesn't have to pay. He doesn't have to pay for it. He doesn't have to buy it, and the farm was saved. So it's not too much. Just ask questions. We have our numbers on the screen. Just send a message. Our WhatsApp line is there. You can send a mail. We will always respond to your mail. And once again, I want to say a very big thank you to you, and we wish you success in your next agricultural project. Thank you very much. And once again, my name is Mark Oluwafemi for Solucard Multiventures Limited. Thank you.
Bàbá Sídí ọ̀rẹ́ mi níbi táyé lajú dé yìí ló tún roko àrògbá kéèké.
wọ́n rò ó ti sú mi mo ti fi kó tó ẹ̀mẹ́ta lọ́dún
yìí. Níbo ló ti wá ra kẹ́míkà tiẹ̀?
a ní lọ́dọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n máa ń to kẹ́míkà sí ẹ̀gbẹ́ títì ibẹ̀ mo rà.
ọmọ ṣe o àgbárí bíjà tòtò kí o tò.
kàṣà.
sórí o ti gbọ́n pa Sólókáàdì ń tiẹ̀. Sólókáàdì nìkan ní ta ojúlówó kẹ́míkà tó o bá dọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ kò sírú kẹ́míkà tó wá tó rí. kí ni jẹ́ èpò níwájú kẹ́míkà Sólókáàdì?
ṣé lóòótọ́
tán ni?
ṣé lóòótọ́?
òótọ́ ni mo sọ fún ọ wo má yá lọ.
mo rí gbogbo rẹ.
kẹ́míkà Sólókáàdì.
Sólókáàdì.
kẹ́míkà Sólókáàdì kẹ́míkà tó dáa ni.
Sólókáàdì.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni
kẹ́míkà Sólókáàdì.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
dákun ọ̀rẹ́ mi.